Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got it!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this start of the week. Jim Coyle with you. Dustin Schutte along for the ride. Big day ahead of us. Of course, brought to you by our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality, the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up for the Wow Club today. Start earning Wow rewards with all the places in and around Bloomington that are a part of Endeavor Hospitality, like Southern Stone, Courtroom Sports Grill, Feast Market Cellar, Capello, BB's Market, as well as Metalworks Brewing Company. We will be hearing from all of those places this year as we'll be doing some shows. Can't wait to start doing a chili show. I'm ready to do. We'll do it probably on a Friday before a home football game from BB's, and I'm going to do my chili. And John, I haven't got to meet him yet. JD out there, the chef out there, he can do his chili, and but we'll see how that goes. But welcome aboard, Dustin Schutte, here as well. How was your weekend, man?
Well, it was pretty good. I was able to get out to the golf course, enjoy a few adult beverages. The only problem was I did not shoot under 100. So
Wow.
I'm gonna need Mitchell Page on Friday to give me some lessons on this show, because my golf game has declined quite a bit the last couple of rounds. So, but overall, pretty good weekend. Just that one issue I had.
Speaking of well, not speaking of, but Michael hitting says he wants to thank me for my Reds taking 2 out of the 3 from the Brewers over the weekend. Charlie Miller joining us now. Charlie, we're just talking a little baseball. As I'm a Reds fan, which means my life is going to suck for baseball from now on, because the Reds are the new Cubs. Dustin Schutte with me as well. Dustin, Charlie.
Hey, Dustin.
How's it going?
Awesome, man.
You got a gigantic echo going, Charlie.
Do I?
And let's see, the Reds. So they take 2 out of the 3 from the league, the division leading Brewers, which. Oh wow! They're now 2 games behind the Cardinals, thanks to the Reds, who are in 3rd place in the National League Central. Hey, let me just say the Reds are right behind the Brewers.
Yeah,
in the division.
I know.
Crazy. In the division. That's how you got to stop there into the division. But
how about this? And the Reds took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers, and the Yankees are on a 5 or 6 game losing streak.
Oh yeah. Who were they playing?
They played the
Cardinals.
The Cardinals swept them. I don't know. I can't remember who they played before that. Was it the Royals? Maybe I can't remember who it was exactly. But yeah, the Yankees. They've hit a major slump since the All-Star break.
Well, how about the Cardinals? They've gone 9-1 over. A lot of Cardinals fans up here, Charlie. It's because of where we are geographically. I grew up a Reds fan. Cincinnati just there, and then Cardinals just to the west. So it's a big split between the Cardinals and the Reds. And man, the Cardinals just charging 9 wins out of their last 10 games. Woo! Do you have a favorite baseball team?
Well, it was the Marlins. How does that sound, by the way?
Beautiful.
Okay, good. Yeah, Miami Marlins when I was in Florida, obviously. But I don't really follow baseball too much. I went to a couple baseball games this year when I was on the road. We'll talk about that later, but I don't really follow baseball too much.
More importantly, Charlie's back, as 5 Left says. Welcome back. Look who's back. Yes, he's back. Yes, he's back. Yes, he's back. Yes, he's back. They love my singing on here, Charlie.
I love it.
You don't know.
Love
Michael says, awesome. Why sweeping those Yankees was unbelievable. We don't get the chance to talk about a lot of baseball on here, to be honest with you. But it's that time of year where it's kind of getting fun.
That's right.
We had a lot of basketball to talk last week as Indiana had 5 consecutive visits of elite players in. Jamie Kaiser, one of those, but he commits to Maryland. So there's that one. But there's the other 2. We'll see what happens with those guys. Been a while since you've been on. How's your summer been, man? Dustin, well, Charlie spends as much time with us as he can. The summer times are hard for him. Tons of traveling as he is in training mode. And did you go to any place fun like Alaska this year? Was that this? You were getting ready to head there the last time we talked. He gets to go all over the place training, doing his training, basketball training and whatnot. So we get to talk about his adventures in addition to sports.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of travel. Anchorage, Alaska was the first stop. Then I went to a place called Colville, Utah, which is right outside of Park City, Utah, where they had the Olympics. And Denver, Colorado, Sacramento, California. Then there's places I don't forget, but it's like it was over 12 camps.
Yeah.
And Dustin, it's what I do for a living. With a group called Breakthrough Basketball. I travel, and I've been doing this for 9 years. So it was fun. I would say this go around was like India go around was fun, but I was more available mentally. The things I was doing and the impact that was felt all across the board. And Dustin, I made a choice 12 years ago to say, okay, not saying I can't coach in college or high school. I just want to build what I've been building as a player, player development coach. I had a lot of fun as a player developing in the off seasons. And the X's and O's are great. I like the Jim and Joe's.
Right.
Right. I like to grow and develop a man, and I have fun doing it. So yeah. So that was, man, so much to talk about. So where to start. Great times on the road traveling. My oldest son was with me as well. He's 20
cool.
in college at
Down
Midway
in
University.
Down in Kentucky.
Exactly. Midway, right? Not too far, like in between Lexington and Louisville. So he was
midway between Lexington and Louisville.
And it's called Midway, right? Exactly.
Nice.
And he was with me all about 5 to 6 plus camps. We're traveling.
That's got to be great for his development.
Oh, man. Come on, man. Listen. When you learn to teach, you learn twice as much. And he had a great taste of people not paying attention to him, getting frustrated. All the experiences that you need to become a little more wiser and to get hungrier and keep that humility to continue to grow. And he's ready. He's ready to get ready for his freshman season on the court. Sophomore in the class because they redshirted him last year, which I thought was great. He needed it. So awesome.
Glad to have you back. Looking forward to it as the sports season. I'll be honest with you. Normally the summers are quiet, which that's not a big complaint in and of itself, but you have to really be creative with generating content because the audiences tend to drift off. This summer was not that. It was not hard at all. I don't recall one time searching for content.
That's great.
There was always something going on, which it is great, except for, you kind of look forward to those 2 months where it's not 7 days a week.
Yeah. Well,
it's just 5 days a week. And it didn't really happen this year.
Well, you got that growth mode going. I mean, with the website.
Yeah.
With this, and you got great people on the show like Dustin and Jim.
Charlie Miller.
Part of their process, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of things we could talk about.
Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. One of those later on will be the IU's NIL Collective just announced, last week, a new class, the Hoosiers for Good, which we haven't got to talk a lot about that because it's really new, but a new class of 11 athletes, 10 basketball players, total of $425,000 being doled out through that. We'll talk about that. I'm sure you'd like to have had a piece of that action back in the day. Who wouldn't have? But it's kind of funny. I'll tell you what's kind of funny. I still see just the other day, the NCAA or whomever is going after Rick Pitino still. And I'm like, okay, what in the hell is going on? You all really have that little to do that you're chasing old demons now, which I'm not, that's because I'm a fan. It's gotten to the point to where how ridiculous are we going to be? You've got nothing to do where you've got to go back 5 and 6 years to where the very things that are completely and totally legal right now weren't legal, and you're going to chase that stuff down. I'm good luck.
Similar to someone smoking marijuana.
Yes.
And
yes. Very, 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 very similar. No, very, very, very similar.
I mean, that's just the equivalency I give it, because it's like, okay, we're talking Iona Rick Pitino. We're talking Louisville Rick Pitino. Which one? We're talking KU. Which one? UK. Which one? Is it Louisville? When pretty much the kick up of all this stuff started?
I mean, I think that they're just trying to get Pitino out of coaching or whatever. And I'm like, why? He's at a small school now. He's bringing some notoriety to that school. They're having fun. Iona, he's what, 69 years old? Let it go. I'm like, let it go.
The interesting part for me, if you guys have ever read that story, when Rick Pitino was surprised how involved this is, again, it's got to be about 7+ years ago. He was surprised at how involved the shoe brands were in recruiting. Now, that was surprising to me, but he was literally oblivious to how much the shoe brands, now we know the EYBLs, the Under Armour associations, the Adidas, whatever they call it now. I know it was the Gauntlet at one point in time. He was surprised at how involved they were in recruiting. And I was like, man, where were you under a rock? Because, I mean, you've always been with Nike. These kids that go to your school have always been Nike AAU teams. You're always looking for that one. That's the whole point of it. I mean, be blatant. They're looking for the next LeBron. I mean, it's what it is. I mean, let's call it what it is. They should just do it under the scenes, right? It was under the table. Now I don't have to do that. They have their own leagues, right? And the trickle down to the teams that they sponsor, because of the players or two. But it was just quite interesting. I'll try to send that article to John, and John can probably post it or whatever it might be. But it's just interesting that some coaches are oblivious to how much these shoe companies are really involved in this recruiting process, because you're trying to find that next Kyrie, LeBron, James Harden.
I can tell you one who wasn't oblivious, Bill Self.
There you go.
So that's a great point, Ed. They're chasing Rick Pitino. What about Bill Self? He's been I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, here's something fun I've been waiting for. And wow, what a way to start. The Little League World Series, baby. It starts tonight on ESPN. And how about a matchup with Indiana and Kentucky to start it off at 7?
Wow.
So I love the Little League World Series, man. It's just one of those cool things. I don't know why. It's just one of those things you really get caught up on. Pete asking did you run across any standouts in your travels?
27, 28, Pete. It might have been. But
that's some 8th graders, man. Those are some 8th graders, right?
Yeah, man. 8th grade, you still, man. I almost said something. I caught myself. They have no idea who they are. 8th grade.
I agree, but I will say this, Charlie. It's a guy like Trent Sisley, Jalen Harrelson, a couple of guys from Indiana that they're a couple of their top recruits for the 25 class. When I go to watch them play, or you watch them play, they look like they are 4 years older. They look like they're going to be, instead of a sophomore in high school, they look like they're going to be a sophomore in college.
Yeah.
Physically, Jalen Harrelson is a man child. And and Sicily is 6'7". He'll continue to grow, but he's not skinny. Hell, he's got more meat on him than a lot of kids I see come to IU sometimes. So they're getting bigger and beefier every day.
Yeah, and gonna get wiser too, because now you have access and resources to play against high school players, because now you're on that level, and we're talking anomalies, man. We're talking like 1 or 2 kids in an area like that that's going to have the exposure to people who can play faster, think quicker, get over sooner, and now you put yourself in that position to say, okay, a couple years from now, you will be ready, to look at the IUs and the other schools that might be recruiting.
Charlie, I'm a big hiker, so if you're traveling around the country, you might find me in your suitcase one of these days.
Nice,
to get around. But I wanted to ask you, one of the things that I was always told when I was playing was, players are formed in the off season, teams are formed during the season, and so you talked about the development. I mean, just how fun is it for you to see these players go from what they look like when they come into these summer camps, and then what they look like afterwards, and how they're able to help their teams?
Man, that's an awesome question, man. It's amazing to me, because the transformation is more so to kind of get to a deeper level. You have the chance to recover in the summer. And now, for me, when I look at development as a whole, you're starting to find players really understand what I call their top 20 skill set. So they're starting to really work on the things that they do the most. The identification of that, knowing your game, understanding game management, and understanding your coach's playbook. So I think that's all development is for me, how to develop individual skills that transfer to university team concepts that fit your coach's playbook. And the more you understand that, the more IQ you build, because you are more aware. And that's to me the biggest thing that I love to see. I love to help players with, and then they get more encouraged and they're more comfortable when they play. And then we call it confidence, but they're used to it now. I'm used to the limelight. I'm used to playing. I'm used to missing shots in front of people. I'm used to now recovering. So all those things are part of that game, like the iceberg theory, right? We're just talking 20%. Nah, man, it's that other 80 that you really have to develop to the intangibles, the soft skills, not just the hard skills or the results of what we see. So that's to me what I love about this, and that's what I see a lot of times in players. It's pretty amazing coming to the fall.
Charlie Miller back with us here on this Monday. Dustin Schutte with us as well. Stay tuned. We got more coming up. Kyler Staley joins us next to hear about some Indiana basketball, what's going on over the weekend. Liam McNeely setting an official visit, and much more. Brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda, the #1 Honda dealer here in Bloomington area, as well as Endeavor Hospitality and the Wow Club. Make sure you go there and sign up. Apple App Store or Google Play Store for all these wonderful locations. Southern Stone, Courtroom, Feast Market and Cellar, all of them. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington.
Hey, guys.
We got.
Hey, Color.
This is. Have you all met before?
I met Color before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember. I could have let Dustin take over today.
Jim could have taken a day off.
Well,
he's thinking about
He's considering jumping off right
He
now.
is. I see that mouth open. He rocking.
December 10th. I'm already thinking of a time. I will need to do that, but that's on a Friday.
Good God, I hope I'm not doing a remote that day. Obviously, I won't know for a while, but it's a Friday.
Well, that's because when Indiana plays Vegas, I want to get out there a day before because the National Finals Rodeo was going on at the same time in Vegas, where I used to work at that event for like 10 days every year. So I want to get out there and catch one night of it before. But the only cheap flight I got to check flights again today, but Other than Liam McNeely, what's new for IU basketball, Kyler?
I mean, they obviously didn't get Jamie Kaiser, so
Well, yep.
that's probably the biggest update, other than Liam. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on.
It's never good when you get a second visit. I mean, Charlie, and you can talk to that especially. When they had him as their last visit, it was really, really looking 50-50 probably. And then Maryland got him to come back for a second visit and last visit. Man, when you get somebody to come back a second time and their last time, that's usually a great advantage for anything. I don't care what kind of sales you're selling.
Yeah, might have been a relationship too that they had, or he had with a coach that we just didn't have. So
He's from that area, isn't he?
Yes.
There you go. Jamie Kaiser.
Oh.
And there's some other stuff that Maryland kind of promised him that IU just didn't. But I can talk about that if you want me to on the show.
that'd be awesome.
Who are the other two guys? Arrington Page, social commit, and then
Deshaun Harris-Smith.
Deshaun Harris-Smith.
Yeah. One looks more likely than the other.
Probably the guy with the hyphenated last name, since Indiana seems to recruit those guys pretty well.
It's not.
No, it's not. All right.
No.
All right, here we go.
Hoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Monday. Getting your week started out right. And we have got a full house, baby. Our man Charlie Miller is back. Our buddy Dustin Schutte is here as well as usual. And now joined by Kyler Staley as we are on Mondays to catch up on the weekend recruiting action. The biggest news, of course, Indiana not getting Jamie Kaiser, which not a shock. It looked very good for Indiana after his visit, but then Maryland was able to get him to come back for a subsequent and last visit, which is always a tough selling point. And they were able to get him to commit to the Terrapins, which a loss for Indiana, but nothing. It's not like losing a Charlie Miller or something.
Right. No, it's just they had a 50-50 chance after the visit with Indiana. And then, he goes back on that Maryland visit. He's from that area. So it was going to be hard for Indiana to beat Maryland at that point. And then I think the main thing is that Maryland kind of said, you'll come in, you'll start right away. Whereas IU, you're going to have to compete for minutes, especially next year where you'll have like a second, year of like CJ Gunn, Caleb Banks, and those kind of guys. It was just it was going to be hard to beat and everything, but, you just kind of wipe your feet and you just keep going. It's on to more recruits and you're trying to lock down Arrington Page and maybe Deshaun Harris-Smith moving forward.
Charlie, when I hear someone tells a recruit you're going to start right away, that tells me one of two things. Either you are a phenomenal talent or this team not so good. I would hope that if I'm coming in as a freshman that I'm not really being told that because the team is good enough that I have to fight for minutes. But I don't know. I know as a player you want to hear that. But being told that, it sounds a little disingenuous by the coach because that tells me the coach is telling his other players in that position, "Hey, you don't have it. You're not starting. We've got a guy coming in if he commits."
Couple ways to look at that. One way, as a player, sometimes you are oblivious to what you just said. you don't realize the depth chart is not present. All you're thinking about is I could come in as a freshman and play right away. Wow, what an opportunity, right? And I'm home. I'm from Maryland area. Wow. Now, if you understand the game a little bit, you might have a pause on that because, okay, if I'm playing right away, we may not be as good as we need to be to really build. And we might be in a building stage, what have you, as a team. So I think there's two different schools of thought. But I think the first school of thought, anybody, you come to IU, I mean, I think Coach Woodson has been very it's been blatant. Hey, look, everybody's going to compete. Whoever you are, we're going to compete every year. You have to audition every single game, every practice. Maryland, hey, look, you're going to play right away. So that school of thought is, man, I'm not going to have that opportunity at IU. I'm competing with a lot of players that the depth chart's a lot deeper. And Maryland may not be as deep. So what player would not love that opportunity to have that opportunity to go play right away, especially now in this transfer portal, stuff that we have. To say I can play right away is amazing.
And we talked about earlier, Charlie, a lot of kids develop this kind of confidence, especially now with a lot of attention in the way recruiting works. I mean, I would think if somebody tells me I'm going to play right away, hey, I'm going to be the guy that helps get this thing back on the track. I'm going to be the guy like that. To me, that's how I would view that. There aren't a lot of guys that are probably going in thinking, well, I'm going to start right away. So that's not a good sign. They go in confident thinking they can turn it around.
Well, and you said it, and we talked about it briefly. And another thing, too, if a coach now, like Jim, and I take respect to what he said, the coach might be disingenuous. But if the coach has done homework and research on their program, and they're like, this kid can fit what we're doing, I have to slowly but surely give him 20, 25. Starting, who cares? You might start and play 15 minutes.
Right.
I mean, seriously, right? You may play 15. 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You might be satisfied and say, wait a minute, I'm not getting those quality minutes. Right. So it might be a slowly but surely walk into the idea because they've already qualified it. He fits what we're looking to do on our rotation. It makes sense to kind of slowly but surely walk him into that program.
Kyler, for Indiana, that guard position, it's not a room that is busting at the seams, though. They know that Xavier will be gone next year. You'll have Jalen Hood-Schifino there and CJ Gunn, of course. But it's not like there's guys that are keeping them away. So Indiana is not going to have problems filling the slot. Who is the most likely next up? You've got, of course, Deshaun Harris-Smith, who also took a visit last week as a shooter, but not sure how solid that one is either.
Yeah, as of right now, it's not looking good as far as Indiana, in favor of Indiana. Other schools like Villanova, I believe Xavier is the other one, and then Maryland also as well is in on him as well. It's just, I just don't know if, the player, if we're using Harris-Smith as an example, I don't know if he just thinks that, it's the right fit for him for Indiana's sake, and then also in the 2023 class, you've also got Gabe Cupps and Ja'Kai Newton coming in. So, I mean, that is a very loaded, very busy guard room right there. But I mean, the main guy right now that is more likely to commit than all the other players is Arrington Page. At this point, we're just kind of waiting for that. He's a front court player that Indiana needs to have in the 2023 class. So, time will tell if he just commits or not.
And then, of course, he's a big dude, man, and they would do a lot of good with him. And then you had people like Liam McNeely, who is going to take a visit here from down in Texas. Charlie, that's a guy I thought Indiana had no shot at in the beginning of his recruitment. And I wouldn't have changed my mind until he transferred to Montverde Academy beginning next year. He's going to be playing at Montverde in Florida, where Jalen Hood-Schifino has come from, where Malik Renault has come from. So Indiana already has a pipeline there. They're recruiting Derek Queen, KJ Evans. They have an establishment with the coaches there. So now all of a sudden, his recruitment has changed for me. I'm like, oh, okay. And his first official visit is with Indiana. So the fact that originally I didn't think that anyone was going to get him out of Texas. that's off the board to me now, Kyler. I mean, he is. I think he is going to be a national recruit now instead of a Texas recruit.
Yeah, his recruitment's only going to explode. As the year goes with Montverde Academy, he's going to get more offers. I expect schools like Duke, North Carolina, Kansas to be involved when it's all said and done, especially at the start of AAU next season. But no, he's always had his eyes on Indiana. They have made him one of their top priorities in the 2024 class. And basically, when you talk to him and everything, he just said it was a no-brainer for him to go on a visit to Indiana. He respects the school's history, which is really cool to see from a young guy like that. Respects what Mike Woodson has done in the league. He ultimately wants to go play in the NBA, and he likes the style that Mike Woodson plays in. So, I mean, that visit's coming up in September, in which it'll be one of the more important ones. It'll probably be the most important one in the 2024 class for Indiana so far.
Charlie, you were going to say something?
No, yeah, I was going to say, and that's a great point. That used to be a thing back in my day in the 90s, where schools will have you go to prep school to because you were on that level. So and it was like you didn't know that but you would go to the schools in New Hampshire, or you would go to Brewster, or you would go to places on the East Coast, because schools didn't hide you, they developed you. So when you came in, you were mature and ready. So, I'm not saying this is what I'm hearing, but if it was a no-brainer, he goes to Montverde, and I know there's a pipeline of several players that have already committed to IU. That's a good sign. This kid's really good. That's a really good sign.
Kyler?
No, yeah, I agree. Especially, those private schools. I mean, there's I forget what the league's called, but there's about 6 of them in there. I don't know if Indiana, as of right now, doesn't really have too big of a pipeline with any of the other schools, but Montverde, they're pretty well connected to Indiana, especially because you got Jalen Hood-Schifino and Malik Renault out of that, and then they've also recruited a lot of other players from that. Derek Queen is another 2024 big man that they're looking at, and eventually will probably get a visit out of. They were recruiting KJ Evans for a little bit, but that kind of obviously dropped off. So, it's very, very good connections with Indiana and Montverde. It is a pipeline, no doubt.
And you got to also think, we just sometimes as fans think about the wins and loss as a success. That's not. It's development. It's the future. It's the long game. It's the network of people. It's the Mike Woodson. And not necessarily the network to going to play NBA. He's going to help me become a man. Right. I can these guys are saying, man, he's teaching me life. I'm growing. I didn't know these things like that. That's kind of like if the players had a Indiana Sports Beat radio podcast. That's what's been, you'll be hearing more stuff like that, not just the wins and losses. And we, had a 5-game losing streak. That's for us. The players, man, this is top-notch program, their school, and what they've done here. And that's success that players want to be around to mature for that next 40 plus years of their lives. So Coach Woodson got a good thing going. I tell you that.
Kyler, let's see. Cohen Carr, a name we have not heard much of here of late, and he is making commitment. 2 days. What is today? Today's the 8th. Tomorrow. So not expecting to hear Indiana's name there either, since we have not heard much there. I don't want to make a poor assumption, but from what I've seen, I've not seen IU in a lot of involvement there of late.
No, yeah, that's a good assumption there. Indiana was part of his Final Four schools. They recruited him pretty hard from the start. When he kind of exploded last fall, they got him on a visit, during a game, things like that. But that finger injury, I go back to that at the beginning of the summer. You got to wonder if he didn't have that finger injury and he missed. And did not miss all, I think 2 or 3 live periods, for Indiana to see him. You got to think if his recruitment would be a little bit different. But I know Michigan State has hopped in and they've made a strong play as of late. That's another guy that you commit to Michigan State, which Michigan State's already building a very strong 2023 class. But yeah, don't expect him to go to Indiana. He just doesn't kind of fit what they're looking for at this point.
Well, but unfortunately, Charlie, it comes down to another shooter that they're not going to get. And that is something that, if I had to say, are the one thing that they have not been able to kind of put a finger on recruiting wise, it's landing shooters that they're going after. They're landing big guys. They're getting Jalen Hood-Schifino's. CJ Gunn is considered a shooter. You can't say he's not, but other recruits, bigger recruits that they've went after, they've yet to land that shooter. I'm thinking like there's probably 4 or 5 guys that I'm thinking of, Kyler, that names that we've gone through that they have not landed yet. And that's the one thing I'm like, okay, why is that? So a little curiosity there.
Yeah, you got to wonder, what is their pitch to shooters and things. I mean, there was a few guys that, they had interest in throughout the year. And I mean, Brady Dunlap is an example. He plays with LeBron James' son.
Well, Colin Carr is one that they backed off on.
Actually, Colin Carr, I wouldn't technically count him as a shooter. He's more of a bang it in the rim type of guy. Really just incredible athleticism. He's got an improving jumper, at the summer. Saw a little bit of improvement there, but he's very inconsistent in that area. He's just more of the, give the ball to him at the top of the wing and, let him drive and see what he can do around the paint. But, I mean, he's just another guy. Speaking of Colin Carr, he's just another guy that I don't think Indiana, really just saw a fit for him once they kind of settled down and realized what they need. They desperately do need shooters. They do need to add one more shooter. And if they can, land an Arlington Page or go to the portal to get a big man, I mean, maybe the portal eventually that'll be where they find that shooter. But you also got to think, the development of CJ Gunn, another year of Anthony Leal. I believe it'll work itself out once they have the shooters, but it's definitely a need that they need to have.
What's up next on the recruiting scene?
I mean, right now it's just figuring out, when, Arlington Page is expected to commit. That's the main thing. And them continuing to set up visits with the younger guys, the 2024s, the 2025s, finding a little bit more of what Liam McNeely, how that visit's going to go the next month. But I mean, right now it's just figuring out, who's going to be setting up visits and, the timeline of players when they commit.
Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you go there for complete coverage of IU news and recruiting, and give him a follow on Twitter. We're back with more. We've got Charlie Miller and Dustin Schutte with us still. Lots more to come. Kyler, go out and have a great day, sir.
Yep, you all as well.
I take your comment.
We got lots more coming up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our good friends at BB's Market. BB's Market is your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live, with some of the best custom meats around. BB's Market has the largest variety of inmate house products you'll find around here as well. Reach out, visit bbsmarket.com, and we're going to have a chili cook-off first Friday before the football game, Charlie.
Nice.
Can you make chili?
Man, that's easy. Open the can.
Oh, stop. Oh, man. Boy, we're going to have another conversation after a while. I see that. We got lots more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. Oh, yeah. Pete Rose.
Oh, God.
What?
The Pete Rose stuff?
He got announced. They announced him at the game in the Phillies.
It's just they just announced his name or something? Or?
Yeah, they must have had some get together, and they allowed him to participate or they called it, because he's not allowed. He has to get permission to go into a major league ballpark.
Man.
Banned, baby. You're right, Robert. Yankees are probably going to win the series. They're tanking right now, but we'll see. Yes, I agree. That would be a gigantic get. Not because he's come out of Texas. I've seen the dude play. Have you seen this guy play, Charlie? Man.
I haven't seen him.
What are you, 6'6"?
6'7".
He's 6'7", not as athletic as you, thicker than you. He doesn't have like he can't create his own shot like you or something, but he's a great wing player. Out on the wing, good shooter, can come in and get some rebounds.
All right, just going to be you all until 10:10. So you'll have this segment, next segment, and the segment after that before we have Jim Reamer on.
He lives here. Is it Liam McNeely?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, I'm hoping these are old body stats. He's 6'7", 190.
Yeah, well, let's
he's
see. I'll have to
old.
look.
Yeah.
Charlie, have we had you on since Indiana, or I guess since that quarterback from your area, Josh Hoover, decommitted from Indiana?
That was like, I think, one of the last shows I've done.
Okay.
We connected. Remember, I went to his football game.
I remember that.
I went to his game. Yep. And I think the following week is when the quarterback coach got released, or the person that he had a relationship with got released.
Yeah, OC/quarterbacks coach.
Yeah, and then he ended up decommitting.
All right, here we go.
See, it's the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is a Monday. We're getting your week started off. I look outside. I don't see any clouds. And I look here and I see nothing but sunshine as I see Charlie Miller and Dustin Schutte. Brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, reach out to Cheryl Sizemore. Her 2 decades of experience could be the difference or not between you getting the house you want. Reach out to her, Cheryl, at IndyHomePros.com. Maybe one of these days, Charlie will be buying a home in the Indiana area. We never know. We never know. Dustin. Maybe Dustin.
You never know.
Dustin is actually in Florida, Charlie.
Nice.
He's not from there. He's from Indiana, but
Yeah.
he ended up in Gainesville.
Nice.
He's Gator bait now.
That's right.
He's Gator bait. How much do you miss Florida, Charlie?
Not much. I'm not gonna lie, man. Not much. I mean,
You got the heat.
yeah, but man, there's so much life out here outside of that little
How
7
far-
state,
How far is it to Houston from Dallas?
about 4.5 hours.
And then it's another hour at least to the ocean from there, right?
Yeah, ain't no ocean, man. What ocean you talking about, man? Please. Ocean.
Gulf, the Gulf.
Please. No disrespect, but disrespect. No.
But
no beach.
that's
No,
closer
you can't
than.
compare the beach to like Miami beaches or Florida beaches, man.
No, man. I'm talking about somebody like me who's sitting here in the middle of Bloomington.
No. You go to Florida for beaches, okay? Well, you can't say beach in Texas. That's not beach. Like, you can't say beach. Like, that makes no sense. Lakes. Yes,
Island.
Lakes.
Island, South Padre Island.
Okay, that. Port Aransas is they beach, but yeah, you're gonna probably swim at the pool at your hotel or your Airbnb, then your beach. You just go to the beach.
Texas style chili from Charlie. No, it's not. He just opens up a can, man. That is not Texas style chili.
Yeah, salt and pepper is all you need. Open up the can, you good.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
In the winter when it's cold.
Man, I like to
You
see
don't
your
feel
wife.
good.
I like to see your wife come downstairs right now with a wooden spoon, and pop you on the head. Because I guarantee you, she works harder than that. She's not just opening up cans.
That's right. That's right.
Let's see. Wow, the Cards swept the Cubs and the Yanks. Well, good for them, but beating the Cubs is not a big deal. Let's see. What else we got talking about? And make sure I didn't miss any comments. Okay. So, hey, by the way, Don Fisher begins with us in 2 weeks.
I was going to say, yeah, football season upon us.
Don will be back every Monday for a segment. So that's always fun. We look forward to that. And this football season is, I know that you've been busy doing your camps. Dustin has kept an eye on it, but I can just tell you, we don't know jack about Indiana football. And I understand it because Tom Allen last season was horrifically bad. They were 2-10 and expected to be potentially one of the best teams in the school they ever had. And so that's a major drop off. So now there's a lot of pressure, but not only is there a lot of pressure, the way the schedule is set up, there's an enormous amount of pressure on the very first game, because the very first game is a conference game, which normally doesn't happen to anybody else. But for Indiana, it's the fourth time in 6 years they've opened up the football season with a conference opponent. But they have to win that game. And if they do, they have a shot of going 3-1, potentially 4-0. That is the only way I see that they have any chance of reaching a bowl game, in my estimation, because the schedule is tough. You've got a non-conference game. First of all, you open up at home against Illinois, but then you have a non-conference game on the road against Cincinnati, a team that was in the Final Four last year. Then you have this thing called the Big East, the Big Ten East Conference you got to play in. Then you have to go to Nebraska this year. Indiana has to go play at Nebraska. It's a tough road to hoe, man. It's going to be a tough road to hoe.
And we talked about this. If you can't beat Illinois, who else on the schedule are you going to be able to beat outside of those two? Outside of who is it? Western Kentucky, and I can't think of who the other non-conference team is, because Cincinnati, they might not be as good as they were last season, but they're still going to be a quality team. You just mentioned everybody in the Big Ten East is getting better. That includes Maryland and Rutgers, two teams that had kind of been on the bottom the last couple seasons, but they're getting more talent. They're getting better. Rutgers, both those teams played in a bowl game last season. Then you still got a rivalry game against Purdue. You got to go on the road against Nebraska. So if you can't beat Illinois, it's really hard to find many wins. Now, having said that, I do think that Tom Allen made some necessary adjustments. They changed the offensive coordinator, obviously. We don't know a lot about it. He's going to have his hand more in the defense, which I think bodes well for Indiana. So I think that there are some promising changes, but we've talked about this at length. Unless they get some improvement, serious improvement along the offensive line, it's going to be another bad season, because it doesn't matter who's running the ball or who's catching the ball, who's throwing the ball. If you don't got somebody to block for you, it's going to be a long day 12 times a year.
Yeah, and that has been a troublesome sight, but we'll see what that's like. We don't know. I mean, I will talk to Coach Allen later today, as we do on Mondays, but we don't know anything. So there's not a lot. To be honest with you, not a lot to talk about it, and there's not a point to spend a lot of time on what you don't know, and I don't know. I saw someone mention that, Tim down there in New Albany mentioning that New Albany's high school is going to rename their court Romeo Langford Court on August 20th. All right, I think that is ridiculous. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think it is absolutely ridiculous. There's a court down there that the Parks Department has already named in his honor, which is nice. You have had a ton of kids come through that school, which he is obviously the most successful of the players to have played there, no doubt. But you've got the coach, Jim Shannon, who's been there for the last 24 years, who's won over 600 games, who's won a state title, who coached Romeo Langford, who Romeo Langford doesn't win a state title without David played for Purdue, receiver. David Bell.
Oh,
Yes. David Bell was on that team. If David Bell's not on that team, they don't do that. So I get Romeo Langford has had a ton of success, but I think that they've gone a little overboard with their love for him. And I'm saying that I think Jim Shannon's kind of getting screwed there, personally. I think that the court should probably be named after him for what all he's done. But that's just me. I
agree with you. I agree. Like you're prioritizing someone making it to the NBA versus someone who's helped develop these players over the last 20 plus seasons. And
a quarter of a century.
Yeah, 600 wins is not a slouch in high school.
Not in this state.
That's top like 20%. First of all, to be coaching at the same high school for 24 years and to win at a high level like that, and there's more players that have probably gone on and to become, professionals in whatever capacity, or that to me is what I might glorify in honor of the coach. And they're supported. I mean, they have their reasons as to why they're doing it. But yeah, that's whoever it could have been. I mean, heck, if it was me, I'd be like, man, why are you putting it in my name? My high school coach had over 1,500 wins. Okay, he did.
That's a lot.
So look, he was actually awarded. He was recognized as the NABC, National Association of Basketball Coaches, when they had the Final Four here. I forget 2015, 2016. So I'm like, you need to put that in his name, like Coach Funk Court. Charlie Funk is his name. Like that, put it in the coach's name. I mean, but that's I get it. It's the relevancy of the NBA player and what he can bring to opportunities. Who knows to the area.
Well, and if they're gonna do that, I think I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why they're doing it, but at the same time, like to me, it's why wouldn't you wait and see what he does with his NBA career? So it just seems pretty so quickly afterwards, right? It's been what
they named
3 or 4 years.
They named the park after him during his freshman year in college or something.
Too, like we are prioritizing the wrong things. That is 0.005% happening. Let's not give him all of this rewards. That's cool. I'm not, no disrespect. Man, what about the people that got him there? The person that drove him to the AAU games at no expense. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong, but yeah, like, let's see. I can see if he's a late, great Bill Russell.
Right.
Story. But we're just talking about someone who's trying to figure out his way in the NBA. And nothing against Romeo. I can be talking about anybody.
Right.
Still trying to figure out the way, your identity. Where's your fit?
I'm trying to think of the kid that played. He ended up. He was a receiver.
Rondale Moore.
Rondale Moore. Yes. Rondale Moore. Yes. David Bell actually beat Romeo Langford his senior year. As a matter of fact, I was under the basket. Warren Central had the ball on the far end of the court, down by 1, I believe, or it was either tied or down by 1. David Bell bring the ball down the court by himself, guarded by Romeo, who never cut him off. And about the time he got to the free throw line, he just backed off and let him have an open shot. Sunk it. And boom, out goes New Albany. But, Rondale Moore, who is playing in the NFL, superb athlete. Mm-hmm. So, if Rondale Moore's out on that team, they're not winning that state title. So, again, I'm not knocking Romeo. I'm just –
no, not at all.
I think the people are just going a little crazy. Romeo nuts. I'm like – and I didn't go to New – I'm not – as a matter of fact, I went – my school is – New Albany was our rival. I still am not a fan of New Albany. It's just it'll always be that way. It'll always be that way. I want it to be that. I want it to be that way to an extent. just a little bit. But Jim Shannon's a great guy. That's just my opinion on that. Oh, well, nobody cares. Nobody cares anywhere else. I just thought I'd saw that. It's just, I just think my God, we're just, but of course, giving to Romeo in hopes of maybe he's going to give back.
Well, that's again like a promise of the future, almost like, all right, but it's like we are attacking the problem, not the person. This is not about Romeo. I don't care who it could have been. I have a challenge with hearing something like this when I hear that a coach has been there for 24 seasons. And there's no way. If I'm that coach, I don't feel a certain way.
Before we take a break, the truth, Robert Carter wants to know, when's Charlie Miller coming to Evansville, baby?
There has to be a purpose for me to come down to Evansville.
The truth, there you go. You need to get a camp set up. That would actually seem like it would be an outstanding place for one of your camps. I mean,
yeah, you would think,
Evansville, good draw there from some different areas.
The river over there, the river walk. What's it called? The river over there in Evansville. What's it called?
No, the Ohio River. It's the Ohio River.
Yeah, but don't they have the boat that goes out to the?
Oh, it doesn't leave anymore. They don't have to leave anymore.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, but they do have casinos, but they've got casinos on dry land here now in Indiana, and up in Terre Haute, down in Shelbyville. You can do all that. We got to take a break. I'm going to get smacked on the hand. Hey, if you're in the market for a home down in Southern Indiana, Louisville, Clark, Floyd, Harrison County, you need Barbara Pop Realty Services. 3 decades they've been servicing Southern Indiana and Louisville. Reach out to Matt Lincoln, matt@barbarapop.com. We're back with more Charlie Miller and Dustin Schutte right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right.
What did you do over the weekend, Charlie?
Over the weekend for me?
Yeah.
Went to a you know about the Big Three, right? The Big Three 3-on-3 league.
Yes.
Yeah. So I went to that. They actually did a tribute to a good friend of mine, Andre Emmett, who was killed about 3 years ago now.
Andre Emmett. Oh, do I know that name?
He played at Texas Tech for Coach Knight. Good friend of mine here in Dallas, man, got killed about 3 years ago. So they did an honor during one of the like doing an intermission. So I was there and actually spoke on his family's behalf. So his mom spoke, I spoke. That's pretty cool. And then that's that. Just back on the court, man. I've been back on the court, just with players who are ready to get going. And as I've been traveling, I didn't realize how much I was be gone. To be honest with you, I didn't realize. I
know. I remember you initially said you would be coming back at the beginning of July.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much
having a whole bunch more.
Yeah, I had a lot of back-to-backs. I didn't, I had a lot of back-to-back camps where I was leaving like one place. Like I left Rochester, went right to Boston.
Rochester.
Yeah. So yeah, so I had a lot of back-to-backs, but pretty good, pretty cool though, man. Pretty cool.
Pretty
cool. Doing, teaching again this year?
Yeah, that'll start up next. Well, that'll start Wednesday. Wednesday is like the teacher in service week. So like a week before the kids come back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So will you go back to just doing the first couple of segments with us? Is that how it's going to be? I'm sure.
Yeah, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, totally fine.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure what to expect. So
what?
Next week it'll be back to that way.
So Wednesday is school. Wednesday starts school.
Gotcha.
So Wednesday. So then it'll be the following Monday.
Coming Monday or next Monday?
Next Monday.
Okay.
Where we'll be back.
What was say it? I didn't missed all that.
I'll be back in school.
Okay.
So he's going to go back. This is the only day he's doing the full show with us. He's just going to go back to doing 2 segments on Monday.
Yeah.
Well, you'll get to talk to Charlie at least.
You mean Don Fisher?
I mean, Don Fisher at least.
Yeah. That'd be great.
All right, here we go.
Weird voice.
Home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. I hope you had a great weekend, and hope we can get your week started off right. Jim Coyle with you as always from Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Charlie Miller joining us. Little treat. Dustin Schutte as well. Brought to you by our good friends from Feast Market and Cellar, a part of the WOW Club and Endeavor Hospitality. Feast Market and Cellar, of course. Located next door to Southern Stone Restaurant on Patterson and Rogers, offers an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff as they take their pairing very seriously. So when Charlie gets a bottle of wine, he gets the exact right one for his wife. That's what a sommelier does for you.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like going to the wherever, and it's the expert. But a sommelier is trained and they have to take tests. I think at one point there was a girl I graduated high school with, and she was either one of only 11 female sommeliers in the world or something like that.
Wow.
Have you ever watched those documentaries on how intense that training is? Like, it has to be the hardest thing to get that license in the world. I don't even know
I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine the hardest thing in the world is being a sommelier. I'm sorry.
This is what I'm saying. Watch the documentary and see
I'm not saying it's not difficult, but I'd rather be a sommelier than a minor.
Time out. Let me backtrack. It has to be the most difficult thing to get certification for. How about that? Is that more appropriately phrased?
Your talent better be on point, because you better taste those notes, and you better make sure that you're telling people exactly where that leaf came from, where that grape came from, and the year was made, all of those things, right?
Exactly.
Note of leather.
That's what they do. The one guy's going in there. He's like, I get
cedar,
a hint of
pine bark.
I get a hint of garden hose. Like, it's wet stone. It's the craziest stuff you've ever heard. That's what I say. It's not more difficult.
My show pads after the weekend, and I come back on Monday. That was the worst. That was the worst in the history of the planet Earth. Playing football, coming back Monday morning after, I'd say after Fridays, but it was Saturdays, back doing 2-a-days. After Saturday's last practice, and then Monday morning, you had an entire, almost 48 hours. But that stuff, it wasn't quite 48 hours, and none of it would quite dry. It was all, and so you go in there Monday morning and you put on that equipment that was, first of all, it's half dry, so it's half stinking like, you know what, because it's a week of that. And I just thought of something the other day. I'm like, I cannot believe that the whole time I played football, not one time did I ever take a hose to my shoulder pads. Not one time. Nobody did. Nobody ever did.
Hey, that was.
I know, but I was like, why did I think to do that? I mean, just take a hose to those damn things.
I mean, instead of the smell, you're going to get the mold.
Because you may not wipe it off all the way.
Exactly.
Wouldn't go wipe Jack off. I was going to hang it from a tree, man.
Funny.
Hang it from a tree back in the old days. Yeah. Let's see. Peebo Mo was, let's see, we're talking about all kinds of different stuff here. All right. Football season around the corner. you're neither of you are big. Well, you're a big college football fan, Charlie, right?
I think Dustin might be more than me. I don't.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I didn't know how much of a fan you are. I mean, you're down here in Texas. Well, all right. I'll tell you what, we haven't had you on since all the conference realignment. How about, first of all, UCLA and USC are now going to be in the Big Ten. How about
that? Now, older Charlie is like, that makes no sense for travel, school. You just said forget school. Y'all know the word I want to say. We got another channel. I just say forget. You just said forget school. With travel to, with the distance of travel, games, you just basically said, you know what, take tutors on the road, take the online courses or something. That it's just mind-boggling. For the players, I get a chance to go to LA. I get a chance to go to LA, California.
I promise you, there's not a student athlete that is complaining about it.
Not
one.
Not at all.
I mean, the UCLA USC play. I guarantee you, UCLA is not complaining about getting to come back and play Indiana basketball, about getting to play Illinois, about getting to play Michigan, about getting to play Michigan State. No, they're loving this. They are going to love this. I mean,
this also goes back to these kids are so used to hopping on a plane and traveling ever since if you were on your way to become a top 6% kid or 3% kid that can play at that level, you're so used to it. I'm hearing it now. It's so interesting. I see fifth graders traveling across the country. I'm in the airport. I'm seeing kids with AAU teams. I'm like, what? Like, is that now is the new mode of transportation? What about the broke down bus going to Shoney's? Right? that doesn't exist.
Nope.
They're jet set, man. So it's like this is not. And also, let's just keep it transparent. What are you prioritizing? Money.
Yep.
Money.
What can those two teams bring to us? And more disbursement of allocation of funds, again, I mean, that's what I see it as. It's a power trip now.
I saw, while there's been a lot of teams, Dustin, that I've seen people say, hey, what it shocked people. I just saw one last night or this morning or too early. It said, would it shock the world? I'm like, first of all, why would you ever start a sentence now when it's shocked? There's nothing shocking anymore. No. But I can't recall the second team, but one of them was Texas A&M and Oklahoma State to join the Big Ten. Oklahoma State doesn't bring much. Texas A&M, that's a different story.
Texas A&M is not going to leave the SEC. That's number one.
I don't know. With Texas joining, they're pissed off that Texas is going to be in. That's one of the reasons they left. They wanted to get away from Texas.
Right. I agree with that, but I don't think Texas A&M, they're in a good spot in the SEC. I don't know what the next media rights deal is going to be for the SEC. What I go back to is, for the longest time, when you went to 14 teams, the talk of these super conferences has been around for probably a decade now. And what I cannot understand is, again, the Big Ten was probably in a better position to get Texas and Oklahoma. If they should have been knocking on the door for that, because
they weren't knocking on the door for USC, UCLA. UCLA came and did that. That's the problem with the Big Ten.
There was no other choice for those schools and for the Big Ten at that point. The Big Ten, they have the largest media contract of any of the Power 5 conferences. So if they would have added Texas and Oklahoma, they would have been in a really good spot. I mean, they're still in a pretty solid spot with adding USC and UCLA. And I agree. I've mentioned this too. I agree with Charlie in that you're taking academics out of it, but I do think it affects USC and UCLA more than it does the current 14 Big Ten teams, because those teams currently in the Big Ten, they're only going to have to make that cross-country flight once, maybe twice. Right. USC and UCLA are going to have to do it during basketball season, during volleyball season. They're going to have to do that quite a bit Football season, it's a little bit different. I understand you still have the academic side, but at least it's usually on Saturday. You can schedule the game later in the day, so you can adjust for that a little bit better. But on a Wednesday night during the basketball season, those teams are going to be coming to Indiana, Purdue, Illinois, Rutgers. That's going to make it really tough.
That's going to be tough.
Boy, if the Big Ten would have been smart enough to go after Texas and Oklahoma in advance, and then add USC and UCLA on top of that, man. And then, of course, you could have brought in Notre Dame and then some other team to cap off the 20. Can you imagine that group of 20? That would have been
the Big Ten,
amazing.
Right. The Big Ten probably isn't going to make a move unless it includes Notre Dame at this point. I mean, add more, because I don't know that there's any other team. You could probably throw Oregon and Washington. They might move the needle a little bit, but I think you've got to have Notre Dame as part of the deal. And then almost that 20th team wouldn't really matter. I don't think. You could probably get Stanford. You could probably go down the list of any of the other Pac-12 schools, add them to the conference, and I don't know that it moves the needle, but it would get you to that even 20, and then you could have whether they do, I mean, I don't even know at that point, 2 10-team divisions, 4 or 5-team pods. I don't know. It's making my head hurt just thinking about it.
How crazy would Bob Knight be going right now? Oh my God. He would be throwing chairs through windows, man. It would be terrible, but that's what it is. And we'll have to see how that bears out. But we've got the rest of the football season upon us. I can't wait to see how it's going to lay out. Curious to see what Coach Allen has to say today. I'm glad to have Charlie back for a day. It was great to see you, man. You've got more things coming up, doing a lot of work with schools. Indiana almost had a TBT team this year, and it fell. It just didn't come together. There were a couple of guys that were going to try to put that together. It didn't happen. And, man, it would be great to see that.
That'd be awesome. I mean, because I remember AJ coached his brother and was a team, basically a bunch of Bradley alums. And they had a good run about 2 or 3, 4 years ago. Max, I think it was.
AJ's coaching his daughter right now.
Yeah, he's coaching his daughter up, man. And yeah, she's doing extremely well.
I've sent out a tweet a long time ago saying at IU women's basketball, are you watching this?
I'm more than certain they are. There's no way you can't. I mean, pedigree. I don't know if you all know, but her mother was an exceptional national team player from Brazil.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that.
No. Yeah. He's talking about AJ Guyton.
AJ Guyton.
Yeah,
already.
Right.
Yeah. Her mother, it was an exceptional basketball player. So it's not, I'm not surprised.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
She's going to be a high recruit, no doubt.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, of course, you're always a high recruit. Pete is asking, how about Miller, Page, and Coilder? Oh, yeah. There you go. That would be fun. Always, whenever he's available. And then Wyatt said, all of us are sitting here saying Notre Dame would be stupid to not join the Big Ten, but do you really think that they'll join? I don't know, because that's up to them. They're trying to, if they can get $75 million on their own, I think that they're going to try to stay on their own, but it's still dumb because the money, actually, if they were in the Big Ten, the money would probably be upwards of $125 million. So they're cutting themselves almost in half, if not in half. So, but that's their deal, man. I'm not going to talk about stuff we can't control and can't change, and it's not even there. So what's up next for you, Charlie?
Oh, man, just, recovery. I would say that, kind of getting back to, regular everyday life instead of traveling, and just kind of getting back into mode of training, workouts, and family life, to be honest with you, man, and paying more attention to what's going on now that I have time back at IU, football, basketball, every sport there is.
How have you seen what you've seen from the recruiting and then the way it's going? What have you thought so far? one season of Mike Woodson in the books, and now season 2 coming around, but the recruiting has really changed.
Yeah, and for me, I give it time. I was saying the same thing in the beginning. I mean, Coach Woodson was a freshman. I don't care how much you coach and how long you coach. I mean, that was your first season back in college and back around those players, and they've done a great job of building a culture. The identity of the team still has to be built, because for me, I still want to see the second half of the first game. Are we going to be a different team? First 5 minutes, second half, did we make an adjustment over the last spring, summer to now say, okay, this is a new team, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm just waiting for that first game. I don't care who we play. Second half, first 5 minutes, let me see more consistency from all
than last year.
Last year and the years before, but especially last year. We just had too many games that we lost, I felt, because the last 2-3 minutes of the first half was sloppy, inconsistent. That carried over until the first 5-7 minutes of that game. Now it's a dogfight to come back, but you lose. Up by 20, Wisconsin, and we lose that game, right? So all those, at home, right? I mean, Davis goes nuts, but yet still, that's what I'm after. I want to see the difference of that conditioning, consistency of play, more leadership, more communication from the guys, more matureness. I'm looking for that. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
And from the talent you've seen them add, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Malik Renault, CJ Gunn from here in Indiana, and Caleb Banks from Georgia, should go a long way in adding to what they already have and have coming back.
Yeah, and I mean, that's amazing, because now you're back on that forefront of gaining national attention from, again, the players. The players that are coming here now. I mean, that's pretty impressive to say that, you are an up-and-coming program. Again, it's a rebuild for me. It's Coach Wilson's second year, but yet you are right there in the hunt, being able to recruit national highlighted players that can come to your school and make impacts right away.
Sounds good, man. Well, I look forward to seeing you again next week. And cannot wait, man. I hope you have fun today. Go out and work out, but don't work out too hard.
That's right. I appreciate it. Hey, guys, you have a good one, man. I appreciate it, fellas.
You bet. Our great friend Charlie Miller joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat, along with Dustin Schutte. Brought to you by Metalworks Brewery, of course, all part of Endeavor Hospitality and the WOW Club. Metalworks Brewing is the culmination of a passion for beer, food, and custom metal art, located right off of the square in Bloomington, just right off of from Cabello, off the northeast side on 6th Street there. Make sure you stop in and check it out. And also make sure you go become a member of the WOW Club at the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Sign up, start earning WOW rewards today. They are a sponsor of IU Athletics as well as Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So support those who support you. They help us bring this content to you. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're visiting...
Hey, I don't mean to sound confused, but I didn't realize you were letting Charlie go right there.
Well, he sent me a text that said he didn't realize that he has a workout at 9.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'm glad he let you know, because I didn't have a clue what was going on. Morning, Jim.
Morning.
Hola, folks.
Yep. Everything's settings are accurate.
Why, does something sound weird to you?
No, I just wanted to make sure. Because I'm all bass backwards right now with. This is the only room in the house that's not cluttered with tearing stuff up and moving things around right now. I guess basketball wise, J.Q. Roberts committed to Vanderbilt. And then Draven Gibbs decommitted from Purdue. That's been about it. I can't remember if we discussed.
One of your Carmel dudes is at Providence, isn't he?
Garway, yeah. That's been a while, though.
Like he's yours. Oh, that was a while ago? Oh, I saw it the other day and didn't know that it happened.
I mean, Sam Orm committed to Belmont last week. Booker committed to – I mean, did we talk about Booker and going to Michigan State?
I don't know if that happened last time you were on. Did you come on last week, or did we skip you last week?
No, we came on last week.
Was there something different going on last week?
No, I think we did. Remember. I think we did do something last week.
Maybe we did. Is Jim with us? Oh, yeah, he is. I thought he was frozen for a second.
Well, I'm reading.
All right, here we go.
Dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Monday at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Dustin Schutte with me as always. Jim Reamer on now. How was your weekend, Mr. Reamer?
It was good. It was busy, but it was good. Basketball's done. Moving into, I don't know. Some of the basketball will get started back up later this month. I think there's a couple of in-house leagues that start, and you can go in and watch some guys play. But for the most part, not a whole. It won't be a whole lot of news, other than an occasional commitment until September 9th, when coaches can start getting back out and watching kids.
So there's one more live period this fall?
No, unless it's that's girls. Girls have a live period in the fall.
So September 9th?
September 9th is when their evaluation period, they can, or their open period, or whatever they call it now. They've changed the names. They can start getting back out and watching players at their schools.
Just can't talk to them.
You can't really. It's not like it's got to be at the school. That's the difference. It's got to be at the school. It can't be like an AAU event or a camp or things of that nature. It has to be their school workouts or open gyms. Like
what happens if you're a homeschooled?
Well, presumably you would still have your team workout. I don't know if the colleges have to somehow or have to provide. Obviously, then they would get it from the school program documentation. But like the schools here, the homeschool teams here all have home gyms. They whether they be churches or boys clubs or part of the Indianapolis park system, like Washington Park has a really nice indoor gym. Most of them do. That would be, I don't know if there had to be any additional documentation provided or not, but that would be considered a school workout. But it would have to consist of just only kids part of that program. So somebody couldn't just roll in and start working out with them. And IHSA rules, the last, I don't know when it changed, it's probably been 12, 15 years, changed the rules where you can't participate in another school's open gym or workouts. Like back in the day, kids came to Carmel 2 nights a week, and then they would go to Ben Davis 2 nights a week and play on their outdoor courts. I mean, kids would come from all over the state, definitely from all over the area, to participate in Carmel's open gyms, because Carmel was just one of the few schools that just would always open their gym. And then Ben Davis would be awesome too, the outdoor courts over there.
Brian asks, hey, Jim, so you think IU basketball will get 2 of the recruits and go St. Louis Cardinals? It's his favorite baseball team. He hopes they make the playoffs. My day's been fine. Thank you, sir. Well, I'm going to reevaluate that. I think they get 1 out of the 3 now, unfortunately. I'm a little surprised they're not going to get one of the 2 shooting guards. I'm going to be honest, or one of Harris Smith, I guess, not a shooting guard, but Kaiser, I guess, not a shock after Maryland got that second visit. But, and like you heard earlier with Page, is probably, I think that's Indiana's in the best position to land Arrington Page, and that may be the only one of the 3 they get. We'll find out. But thanks, Brian. I appreciate you. But yeah, Indiana got to land a shooter. Of course, it's not like they're in an emergency. This is not for this year, so you've got plenty of time. And the great thing is there's always the transfer portal now, which sometimes maybe that's the best way to go. I mean, you get a guy, if you can get him for 2 years, boy, fit right in. You don't have to worry about him or wait for him to develop. We'll see how that works. But Dustin, I mean, that's the portal is a nice little place to shop.
Yeah. And Mike Woodson hasn't been afraid to go in there. And I think, the nice thing about the transfer portal, as much as I think there's some problems with it, the nice thing is you can kind of do that plug and play, right? Obviously you got to learn the system. You got to gel with other players, but if you need a shooter, you need a ball handler, you're going to have that list. You can go in there and you can actively recruit some of those players. So we talk about Indiana not maybe landing some of the shooters on the recruiting trail, at least just yet. I'm going to be interested. When we talked to Charlie, he talked about wanting to see the first 5 minutes in the second half of that first game. What I'm really interested to see is this is really going to be the first year Mike Woodson has had an entire offseason to develop some of those players, whether they're coming in, whether they're returning from last season. So I'm going to be interested to see what the shooting looks like after having a year to work on, because under Archie Miller, there was very little development from year to year on these individual players. And I think that Mike Woodson, having that NBA knowledge, having maybe a better coaching staff, I'm going to be interested to see if he addresses some of those, if guys develop more shooting, if that becomes more of the offseason, an offseason priority. So maybe you don't have to get a shooter on the recruiting trail. But to answer that question, I mean, yeah, absolutely. You can go into the transfer portal and if you need a big, you can get a big. If you need a shooter, you can get a shooter. So it's a great asset to have. And there's never really any more reason to panic if you miss out on the recruiting front from a high school player.
CJ Gunn is certainly going to have something to say about that, because I promise you he considers himself a shooter, and he did quite a bit of that last year successfully. And so we'll see if that can transfer, but it's not, I don't expect it to transfer in the first season. So that's that they've got to get to the point to where they're just turning things over, that they already have a shooter, and when another one comes in, it's just turning over, and they're not there yet. They're not to the point where they have the shooter yet much in place. So CJ is still probably a year away, maybe. I don't know. Not in practice to see it, but it's certainly going to be a battle, because you've got a lot more talent this year than last year they're battling.
Yeah, that's the hope. The key there, Dustin touched on it, was shot making. Obviously, being able to have guys. Hopefully, you see that in Bates. Hopefully, you see that in Shafino Hood. Hopefully, and he's not coming in being known as a shooter. I think Bates was probably got a little bit of a better resume there, coming in as a freshman. But he obviously didn't get a ton of time as a freshman. But he's a key developer in my opinion, because he's a guy that can score in different ways. And the other thing that I think they've lacked, this was a post that was on the forum that I just addressed. One of the things I think they've lacked too is depth of size up front, and it's not just you've got to be able to, and hopefully Renault can give them some quality minutes, and hopefully Duncan can start giving them some quality minutes. But Indiana, it seems like of late, has been undersized, and not just up front too, but positional size at the wings. And And it's nice when you see a Miller Kopp who's 6'8", but it would be better if he could rebound, and it would also be better if he could dip in, and if they go small, and definitely provide shooting. I mean, Miller, I think he proved late in the year last year he could be a shot maker, and in certain situations he's an incredible threat offensively, even if it is just changing the gravity of the court because you can't leave him alone. But then they lack any depth up front. It wears Trace down. It wears Race down, and a lot of times when they wane late in games, I think it's because those two guys are just exhausted and have to do all the heavy lifting up front.
Well, that should be the case this year, as you've added Malik Renault.
Right.
I don't know if Logan Duncan is matured any in that regard, and you have to expect more from Miller Kopp, from Jordan Geronimo, and from Tamar Bates.
Yep.
Out on the wing. They have to contribute. None of those three they did in a way, but not in great measure. So unless and until that changes and the contributions are coming from other places, those 8 or 9 games that they should have won last year are still going to stay in that coin flip area.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
I think to me, the one thing I would do, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, but like, to me, the one thing that every great team has, a team that competes for the Big Ten or the Final Four, they always have that one guy that maybe that's all he can do is shoot the three. Like, you can't leave him alone. And when's the last time Indiana had that? And it might be more recent, but I don't remember it within the last 4 or 5 years. But that's the one thing that, in my opinion, Indiana's lacked, because some of those guys in the front court have had to take a heavy load. They don't have that reliable guy that, right, hey, he's a guaranteed shot maker if he's left alone. They just haven't had that guy. To me, that might be the difference between a team that finishes middle of the Big Ten and wins the Big Ten and is a threat to the Final Four, considering what they have coming back, considering the depth, the experience they have coming back. I truly believe if you're able to get a guy that he doesn't have to score 15 points a game, he just has to be a reliable guy that can get open, and if he's left alone, he's going to knock down that shot, 50, 60% of the time.
I think Kopp became that guy last year, but he has to be more than that if he's going to start and soak up a lot of minutes. Leal could be that guy offensively, but then the question would be, is defensively, what do you lose there, and can he guard his position, at least to the point of widening the driving gap, pushing his man into help. Those are going to be things that, because there's no question Leal can shoot. There's no question that he can be that type of floor spacer, because he is a good shooter, and when he's gotten those very few chances to get playing time, I think he's produced. But again, I think there's some questions defensively for him in the Big Ten, and then the issue is from the outside looking in, none of us know what goes on in practice and how good he looks in other aspects like decision making, playmaking, things like that.
And so now they turn to the summer, and the recruiting can kind of be, it's never put away, but as far as being on the road, they can focus on what they're doing right now. What are they working on? What is this team doing? What are they in the gym doing?
Individual stuff. I mean, at this point, it's getting extra reps in. And look, they only have a certain amount of time they can be with their team. And I'm not sure when that date starts, if it's now or if it's when school starts, because I don't think school's in session for another 2 weeks maybe. But these guys have got to put in the extra work. That's a lot of these guys are home. They are working out with their trainer, with their guy. They're getting into gyms that have guns where they can get shots up. That's the stuff they have to do, and I'm sure a lot of them do it. How much instruction they're getting or how much correction they're getting in terms of, we're focused on shooting. In terms of shot mechanics, that remains to be seen. A guy like Geronimo, if he can be at least a threat, a guy you have to guard, he doesn't have to be one of your best three-point shooters, but if he can shoot in the neighborhood of 33, 34% from three, even if it's just on open, like wide open shots, then he could be a difference maker, because he's the kind of athlete that plays bigger than what he is. And that would be a big help. So for him to get to that point, He needs to be in the gym every day shooting anywhere from 500, 700 to 1,000 shots a day.
And what you with that card, you hope that they're doing just that into Cook Hall. They have the ability to get in and out of there and do that. Jim Reamer, thanks a lot, sir. What's up next for you, man?
Next is not much basketball for a couple of weeks. So there are some camps that start later that happen later this month. Then you start getting into once high school stuff tends to start after Labor Day is when they start their fall programs. Conditioning, workouts, things of that nature. So that's about the time I start getting out into practices. But this month is home renovation process. So we're starting that and see how far we can get before I start getting back on the road.
Fun times. Jim Reamer from Courtside, Indiana. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thanks. See you, Dustin.
We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality, the WOW Club. Make sure you go become a member of the WOW Club at your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Sign up today. Start earning WOW rewards. Support those who support us as they are a supporter of IU Athletics and Indiana Sports Beat. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
Hey, Jim, sorry about that. I thought John said that I would be coming or going out at 10:10 instead of coming on at 10:10.
Hey, no worries. It's
Okay.
all cool. Thank you,
All right.
sir.
All right, man. We'll see you.
All right,
Take care.
Bye-bye.
I don't know what he means by this. You have to good.
What?
You have
It
two
says-
good hosts right here, is what he's saying.
Is he talking about me?
I'm assuming.
Or is he talking about Dustin and Jim, the other Jim?
Well, this was back at 10:02, and then 9:58. He also said, "I'm glad to have you back, Charlie. We miss you."
Yes. Brian, how are you, sir? Glad to see you in there. Yeah, Kevin Harvick. How about that?
What a race.
It was an awesome race. You know, that's the thing. The racing has been awesome because of the new car.
Right.
Oh, yeah. 15 freaking winners.
15 winners. And what is it 16?
So only 16 make the playoffs. This is
It's insane. Somebody could get a win and be
15.
left out. There's what, 5? Is there 4 or 5 races left until?
There's 3, I think.
Oh, is there only 3?
Yeah. Theoretically, a winner could, be left out.
Be
which is
left out.
That ties a record through 23 races. And I bet you that might go back to the first year of NASCAR.
I'm sure it does.
Because the previous record that they had tied was the second year.
Right. Yeah, after that restart, he blew them out of the water.
Yeah, he did.
Out of the water. Do they still race at Kentucky Speedway anymore?
No, man, they lost their race.
Man, so that stadium's just sitting there rotting? Or do
I
they
guess.
use it for anything?
I mean, I don't know if they do truck races there or something.
I just remember one time, so I was down, and I only got a couple seconds till I got to bring us back in, but I was down at a race at Daytona with my dad, and one of the racers was doing a Q&A or whatever, and he was bitching about how Kentucky Speedway is out in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of funny.
It's between Louisville and Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. It's in Sparta.
Yeah, but it's right between. I promise you, it's no further outside of a town than many other racetrack, big time tracks are.
Here we go.
Radio. This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. I hope you have a great start to your day, or a great start to your week, for that matter. Jim Coyle and Dustin Schutte with you. So what are you going to do now for the rest of your day, Dustin? How's your rest of your day get off? And how was the golf over the weekend?
Well, it was a fun course we were able to play. I did have some good holes there, had a couple pars, but by and large, it was not a great day because I shot over 100. And for whatever reason, that's been a consistent theme. I used to be able to go out and I would shoot in the low 90s, but for whatever reason, these last couple rounds, I don't think I've broke 100 the last 3 or 4 times I've played. So it's been a rough go of it. The rest of my day, kind of, I get on. I'm doing some research for some projects I'm working on at Outsider, and then I'll start my work for the job at about 3:00 and go to 11. So it's pretty much an all day. You know, I get up at about 6:30, walk the dogs, have my breakfast. And then the rest of the day, it's pretty much work.
Just sounds terrible.
Well, the good thing is I get to work from home. So, you know, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. That part is great.
I'm only kidding. How about the NASCAR race yesterday, man?
Awesome.
First of all, their racing this year has been pretty good. I mean, well, more than pretty good. First of all, you now have 15 different winners in 23 races. That ties a NASCAR record that I am sure is from the first year in the history of NASCAR, which for that to happen in any sport, any major sport, is crazy.
Right.
I mean, it is crazy when you see a record that is that old, and from only reason it was as big as it was because it was at the beginning. But yeah, this new car, next gen car, has leveled the playing field. Now, is that good? It's good I like it, but then you can look at it from the standpoint of are there any superstars left? You know, when Jimmy Johnson was dominating, when Dale Earnhardt was dominating, when people were dominating, and they don't have the superstars. There's a lot of young guys coming up.
Right.
And how about Ty Gibbs? No one is big. Kid's 18 years old, man, driving like he's been out there for 10 years. And there's a lot of times where I'm not a fan of Austin Dillon. It aggravates me that they put him in the 3-car, first of all, because he was the grandson of Childress. It's aggravating. But Ty Gibbs is a racing fool, man.
Yeah.
He's a racing fool, buddy. He's gonna be successful.
He is. It's been fun to watch him, especially those last couple weeks, you know, with Kurt Busch out of the car. So I sometimes it's a bittersweet moment, right? Like you don't want to wish that kind of concussion like symptoms on Kurt Busch, and you definitely don't want to see him miss this many races because of those issues. But at the same time, it also created an opportunity for a Ty Gibbs to step in and really put his foot on the gas, right? So it's been fun to watch him kind of, you almost see like his ascent, and you expect that at any time he's going to be a big time star. And you see like Chase Elliott, he's probably right now the biggest superstar maybe on the path to stardom. He's won 4 races this season. I think he's the only driver in NASCAR with more than 2 wins.
Yeah, he's the points leader right now, and he's like his father, he's going to win the most popular driver award for a long time, probably. The closest thing you've got to it right now is Ross Chastain out there rubbing people up. And
I was going to say for the wrong reasons usually.
but you know what?
You need that.
He's the young Dale Earnhardt is all he is.
Yeah,
he's out there just trying to win. I'm like, I'm not. You need him and Denny number 11.
Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin to have their little dust up. Other than that, it's pretty vanilla, man. I mean, the different winners is cool and the racing's been good, but you still want you want some dust up, man. I'll tell you how that Indianapolis deal, when you go into that first turn, how crazy it was getting. You want to solve that.
Right.
That can easily be solved. For that race, you go back to the metal bodied cars. Because what happens is they're now in those carbon fiber bodies that you can't really hurt. They can kind of bounce off of each other. They don't dent. You put those metal fenders back on, and let me tell you, they're going to stop that real in a hurry because flat tire right now. So there's that. A little extra NASCAR talk today.
Yeah, well, it was cool because not only was Kevin Harvick the 15th winner of the season, but he snapped a 65 race drought without having won. I think that was the second longest of his career. And man,
plus he gets to make the playoffs.
He gets to make assuming. I mean, I don't have a deep knowledge of the point system right now, but assuming there's not more.
There would have to be. He could get knocked out. I mean,
that's what I thought.
3 races left.
If you have 2 more winners, there's always that possibility. So,
but there's other ways you can get playoff points. Winning a stage gives you a playoff point. It's like Chase Briscoe won 1 race. That's worth 5 points. You win a stage, that's worth a point. He has 8 points at the moment. So Chase Briscoe is not getting knocked out.
Right. He's in good shape. So
so that's how that runs.
Yeah, but it's been crazy. And you saw the emotion yesterday. And this is kind of what I like about the NASCAR playoff system too, is like Bubba Wallace was defeated yesterday. Like he had a great car. He had a great run, finished second, got caught up in that restart on 34 laps to go. But at the end, I mean, he had no words. He knew he had a car good enough to win. And now it's coming down to crunch time because he hasn't won a race yet, has he?
Not this season, no.
So he needs to get a win in order to be in that playoff hunt. And he was so close yesterday. But after that restart, Kevin Harvick, I think just 2 or 3 laps, he'd already built a 4-second lead and no caution came out. So he cruised to that victory. But that's the kind of drama that I think NASCAR needed. How many times did you see them go into like the last 3 or 4 races and it was already determined who the winner was going to be of the Cup?
Oh yeah, it's a lot more fun this way.
Yeah.
A lot more fun this way. So, we'll see how that works out. At least he can now just take, he can stop sweating, baby. He's in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in. I don't see us having, although the next 3 races are on 3 different courses. One's a road course, one's a half-mile course, or it's under a mile, and then you have Daytona. So 3 completely different race courses. So we'll see how that's going to turn out. Let's see. What else is there going on that peeps are wanting to talk about? Mike Woodson said every team should retire number 6 for Bill Russell.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I disagree with that. The man won is the biggest winner in the history of the game, isn't he?
Right. Yes.
I mean, 11 titles, 8 straight. I mean,
he was undefeated in elimination games, never lost an elimination game in his high school, college, Olympic, or NBA career. That might be more impressive than 11 championships, to be quite honest with you.
It's big time, baby. That means you're winning. You're a winner. Logan Duncan is someone that I didn't, when we were talking earlier, I didn't bring up. This is kind of a make or break. I don't know if it's a make or break year for him. I guess he doesn't have to go anywhere, but they're not going to stop recruiting as they go forward. And I mean, you need to see some improvement from him this year, but I wonder how much time you're going to get to see from him. Where is he going to squeeze in? We'll find out if he's improved. Malik Renault, from what I'm hearing, is doing a bang up job battling for minutes. It's going to be, minutes are going to be at a premium.
Right.
Once once Mike Woodson gets things figured out, and you get to the conference season, you're going to get your opportunities early on, and I think you better take advantage of them.
I agree, and it's a good problem for Indiana to have. I mean, to have that much depth. Yeah, I mean, I think there's no question Logan Duncan's going to have to get better because Mike Woodson isn't going to sit around. He's not going to not recruit, right? He's not going to look at, if he's got a chance to add a better player, whether that's from the high school ranks or from the transfer portal, he's going to do it. He's not going to give guys playing time just to appease them. You're going to have to earn it. So he's a guy that's got to take a big step. And if he doesn't, and I don't mean this to be, but that's just the way that the nature is. He's not going to be around for very long. That's not a knock on him, but it's going to be at this point in where the transfer portal is and how everything works. A lot of coaches are having that conversation. Hey, you gave it your best shot here, but we got some good guys coming in. It might be best if you want to play, you might need to look at the transfer portal or, whatever the case might be. Those are the conversations you're going to have because you don't take a big step. Like I said, Mike Woodson, he's already shown he's recruiting the best players he can get, whether that's from the portal or whether that's from the high school ranks. So you don't make a big step, they'll find somebody to get on the floor.
Yeah, Indiana has a pretty tough backcourt already. Like I said,
right.
Trace Jackson Davis, Race Thompson, Renault, and you had Geronimo into that if you want as well. Hat or visors? However, how are we going to do that? It's a good question. We need to start giving them. I've got them. We need to start giving them away each Friday. Come up with something, Dustin. How can we do that?
How can we do? Let's see. I wish I had a good idea. You put me on the spot here. I mean,
I'm trying to figure out a way to where it's something it can't be like instantaneous because people just Google.
Right.
It's got to be, and I want to give as many people an opportunity as possible.
So it can't really be a trivia question because that's Googleable.
David asked, what happened to the 4-year scholarship idea and being a 4-year student? David, no offense, but have you been living under a rock? That I don't mean that bad, David. Yeah, that ship sailed.
But you know what? You know what? Charlie said earlier though that his son got redshirted, and he was happy about that. And I mean, you don't find that mindset very often anymore. Not many kids are willing to take a redshirt year, even if it's going to pay off for them and the team in the long run. It's a hard selling point, but it's good to see that sort of mindset is still around for some people.
I did not know this, Larry. He saw a clip from the Price is Right episode in 1984 with Dean Garrett as a contestant. Dean is a good friend of the show. He's been on several times. I did not know this information, and it will be coming up next time he's on. I promise you. Oh my goodness. Well, and John, we'll have to find that for tomorrow. Make a note of that.
Noted.
Steve, you probably do deserve one just for asking the question. So we'll I guess we're going to start keeping a list. I'm going to start keeping a list
of people to send hats and visors to.
Of winners.
We got to think of something here. We could come up with something.
Yeah. First of all, you have to be following us on YouTube and you and me on Twitter.
Yep.
That's just a starting point. I guess I don't know. We'll have to come up with that.
We should have
it, John. John, you got to jump in here to help me think. People can help think.
I had ideas before, but I'll need to go back to the drawing board and think of something that will be.
What if it's something? Criteria. What if it's something we talk about on the show?
That's the best.
I think we've mentioned that before.
Think that's yes.
Because that's something that you can't really Google. You're going to have to watch and listen to the show, and that gives everybody a fair opportunity. Then that's so like as an example, we talked about becoming a sommelier. We could phrase some sort of question about that. And then if people actually listen to the show, then we'll know.
Which sponsor has a sommelier?
See, there you go. Beautiful.
But see, I already gave the question out. So, but that would have been a great question.
But that's a good question. Yes,
that's what it's going to be like.
Yeah, that type of stuff I think will be great.
But yeah, I will. Steve, I'll get you one just for asking the question and getting the conversation started. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in today. As always, appreciate you guys. Everyone down on the raft. Have a great day in Evansville and everywhere else. Dustin, thank you, sir. Big thanks, of course, to Charlie Miller, Kyler Staley, as well, Jim Reamer, too, John, the producer, and most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we have no reason to be here. Tomorrow, we'll have Tom Allen's remarks from today's press conference, his first presser for the football season, and I'll have that and more. But we're back tomorrow to do it all again. Mike DeCourcy and much more. Dustin as well. So until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.